All right, welcome to Artist Spotlight 2020. I am here with Jacob Jensen from the Millstream Arts Festival and also in collaboration with Downtown Art Crawl. I think you've done both of them, haven't you, Jacob?
I have done both of them. Millstream, I did the one time, and I've done a number of the art crawls. For a while, I had a good relationship with Desi at the Hop Shop on the corner
Oh,
downtown. Yeah,
mm-hmm. Sure, that's a neat place. They're nice people there too.
they are absolutely.
Um, the piece that I think is that with the Millstream connection we have, last year you were our Bob Loso legacy artist. And
Yes.
every year we pick a new artist, a new that's starting to sell their work out in the community and try to get their name out there. And Bob Loso was a big potter in our St. Joseph community, and his family really likes to support new artists and new potters in our community because that's what Bob used to do. That was his role, was to take new potters under his wing and help them. And so you were the Bob Loso legacy booth last year, and so you got a nice plaque and got to
Yes.
share that. So that was quite an honor. So it was wonderful having you in Millstream because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an honor for me to be kind of able to participate in a high caliber event that Millstream is. I mean,
Thank you.
you have some wonderful artists from all around coming to St. Joseph, and it really shows the art hub that we have there. And I think that central Minnesota really has a great pottery, specifically pottery community, um, through my friends at the Paramount, as well as, if you go over towards that St. Croix River Valley area, I mean,
Yes.
you have some really high quality work and people who are really passionate about functional pots and using them and just sharing the joy of meals and time together. And
Hmm.
I learned a lot of this kind of philosophy, actually, not from Mr. Loso, because unfortunately never met him,
Hmm.
but
Right.
through Dave Glenn.
Hmm.
And Dave Glenn has been a big part of the ceramics world in central Minnesota. And he has really shared a lot of ideas and philosophy and helped me grow and kind of solidify why I do pottery and what my goal is when I'm
David.
making.
Yeah, he is a great man. He is all about mentoring and raising other people up around him. He's the first one at Millstream to run over and give you an extra weight or bring a tent for you. And he's taking care of everybody, and we appreciate that. So that makes absolute sense that he would be somebody that supported you.
Yeah.
Could you talk about, we talked a little bit about what you do, and could you talk more about the Paramount? Because that's kind of where it started with you, wasn't it? Or was there more to that? Share a little bit about that background.
So getting into pottery was my route into pottery was probably a little bit traditional in that I really wasn't exposed to it until college, right? And I think for so many people, we miss out on this high school exposure to pottery. Maybe we have ceramics, maybe we make a clay project once in a while, but you're not really exposed to getting on the wheel every day, making something, and going through the process and in a cycle, right?
Hmm.
And you know, for a lot of people, there's maybe not a reason that you would be. There's other things that we need to learn in high school. And as a teacher, I see that. But in college, I was so lucky to have the chance to really delve into one art form and delve into pottery as a elective course my senior year. And I kick myself wishing I could have started sooner. Started pottery as a freshman in college and taken it every year. And I started in sculpture, actually. And thinking about how that drove my education because I was so excited to get into the studio to build something or work on an idea. that I got all my other work done because I had to get into the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it so much, I continued in an independent study during my student teaching.
Ah,
And
oh.
yeah, I was in college at Bemidji State, by the way. So I was working with Tim Brockman and Stephen Sundahl were my professors up there. And so they're pretty well known, good potters up in the Bemidji area at the Watermark Arts Center. They have a good relationship there. And then coming to St. Cloud for my first teaching job and in Sauk Rapids, I was reaching out trying to figure out where can I keep doing pottery? Where can I go to keep learning and to get better? And I was directed through, a Google search basically for St. Cloud pottery, where can I go do this? And I found the Paramount, reached out to Derek at the Paramount.
Mm-hmm.
He let me come meet him. We did a little tour, he showed me what there was, explained the options for coming, for the Arts Underground on Thursday night. And I kind of started with that. And after about one semester, I needed to come more than one night a week. So then I
Mm-hmm.
started getting the seasonal pass, and the rest is history. You learn and you develop together. And the fact that they have access to a gas kiln is so incredible. Not every art center has that.
Mm-mm. And they've created quite a community around pottery there, I would say. At the Paramount. That's been a really neat thing to see, and I'm glad you were a part of that.
Yeah, you'd look forward to going and seeing your friends there. And it was a lot of people who were um, more like my parents' age.
Oh.
And we had such a good, close relationship, and they were so welcoming when I was new to the community. It got to the point where I would pull into the parking lot and I'd see my friend Dan was parked there. And I kind of get excited because it's like, all right, we're going to go listen to some good music. We're going to throw some pots. We'll probably give each other a bad time. It'll be great.
Yes. Yes, and it speaks to, you've spoken, you're a teacher also. It's that lifelong learning piece with making and creating and how you found it later, but it's still a passion, it's still something you do and it's part of your life. That's wonderful.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So
And
you talked about the pottery community and the clay community in this area. We have a wonderful large community of people that make and create with clay in this community. So what have you found is one thing that you do with your work that you want people to remember or you want people to take away with your work?
I want people to look at my work and think about how they're going to use it. And so I think that's the takeaway is not, oh, this is a nice pot. I'm going to put it on a shelf forever. It's no, how are you going to use it? And so I make things with an idea in mind. Or, if I make a bowl, my idea is it's going to hold something, right? But I ask the people, it's like, where do you think you see this in your house? Is it your bowl on the entryway for keys? Is it holding potpourri in a restroom? Is it, I mean, or are you eating soup out of it, or
Right.
your cereal every day for breakfast? Where do you see yourself using this? And
Uh-huh.
it does impact, as I learn what people want to use pottery for, it impacts how I look at making things. Some things I make, with a specific purpose, and that is reflected. The mixing bowl that I did, and you'll see a picture of that later. I make a mixing bowl a little bit thicker because I know it's going to be in the kitchen being used. And, if you're
Mhm.
anything like me and my brothers, we're a little rough in the kitchen and we don't want it to chip and break right away.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's the other part is pots need to be affordable because inevitably they do break.
Mhm.
And, just the other day, my mom and dad accidentally broke a serving platter I gave them. And, they felt bad that they broke it. And it was a beautiful plate. But that
Yeah.
happens, and it's pottery. And
Mhm.
there's, you know what? Throw it out. There will be another one, and it will be okay. And so
Yeah.
the hope is that my prices don't scare people off from using them.
Hmm. That balance somewhere in there. That's an
Yeah.
important balance to find. Do you, we're looking at your pottery right now next to you. Do you have a favorite piece that's sitting next to you before we show some images?
Oh man,
I'm just curious.
I
One of
do
the,
have. I probably do. I'm gonna take out. Oh, geez. So I have another jar similar to this in the video. You'll see a picture of.
Mhm.
But what I've been doing is, and this comes into my teaching side, is I've been making classroom time capsules or memory
Oh,
jars.
oh,
So I've sealed the lid on here with just some round reed and some flat reed. And so I set up this jar with 4 handles, and I can wrap and seal the lid on there, and it becomes a time capsule for the years, basically. And my
oh,
goal is to have some shelving on my classroom just lined with these. So I've taught for 3 years, and I
oh,
have 3 jars. And
oh,
the joke is we're going to open them at my retirement party and see what kids said 40 years ago.
right. Oh, that is a really fantastic idea and functional and beautiful and so much
Yeah.
meaning for the use of it, and what it's going to be
Yeah.
used
And
for.
I'll bring them. Actually, that will be in my classroom. I'm still setting up my new room
Yes.
for the year, but I try and bring work into the room so that kids can see what I do and why I do it. And it's part of the relationship building because they want to know their teachers are people
Hmm.
and people do things outside of school.
Hmm. And you're a science teacher,
Yes.
right? That's
Um,
right.
yes. So I teach 6th and 7th grade science this year. In Sauk Rapids, I only taught 7th grade.
Okay. I
So it's
this morning I was talking to Peter Hegland. You probably know Peter
uh,
Hegland, and he went to school. He was planning on being chemist, like in chemistry through college. And we spoke a little bit about the science with clay and how there's so much overlap with that and can be a teaching tool for kids also.
absolutely. I mean, just talking about the reactions that happen in the kiln and the types of those minerals and earth materials that you find that make up clay and glaze. Um, I still have a lot to learn, but when kids ask about it, it prompts my search, and I want to learn because I want to be able to explain it to them.
Uh-huh. Nice
And
connections.
sixth grade is earth science, and seventh
Oh,
grade is life science. So now I'm adding earth science curriculum into what I do, which really does directly relate to pottery. So
mm-hmm.
I'll be figuring out more and more and including it in class, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Oh, I can't wait to hear about that, Jacob, and what you do with that. Lucky kids. Lucky
Thank you.
kids.
I hope they're
So,
lucky.
yeah, I know it's tough. They need that in their life, the art and the other areas they're working with to infuse those two are really important.
Yeah, it's not mutually exclusive. And I think
Mm-mm.
that's important to know is that your art and science, they complement one another. They
Mm-hmm.
complete each other.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, let's look at some of your other pieces you were sharing with us. Here's the first one.
Yeah, so that's a mixing bowl that I was kind of talking about. And
Ah,
it was fired in the Paramount's gas kiln. Actually, every picture and all of my pieces from the last 2 years were fired in the gas kiln at the Paramount. Um, this is a Celadon glaze, northern Celadon glaze with a black iron so that it comes out a little more olive green.
sure.
And Dave Glenn actually was working with this glaze specifically trying to kind of smooth it out and get some of the speckles out. So he was running it through a ball mill. And it was cool to learn about that process of ball milling clay to kind of clean up some of those speckles and um, break the glaze down into smaller particles so that when you
Wow,
apply it, it creates a more smooth coat.
interesting. Well, that's cool. So we have
And
our, Go
yeah,
ahead.
it is. I was going to say the pot itself, it's It's a clean, kind of crisp shape. It's very smooth on the inside because you don't want to have a mixing bowl that is hard to clean.
Mm-hmm.
So I really make it smooth and easy to clean. And then that swoosh on the side is my decorative flair, and that's with a temuku glaze.
So again, considering the function of it when you're
Yeah.
making it, when you're creating the piece. That makes sense. All right, now here's the next piece.
Okay. So this is my introduction to pottery and the transition over the years. So I started in a hand building sculptural class, and my favorite thing was to make trays because you can do anything with a tray. You could put hors d'oeuvres on it, you can put jewelry on it, you can put keys on it. Everybody wants trays. So I had these at college, we had forms that were made, and we could make trays really easily with those forms. But as soon as I left Bemidji State, I didn't have the supplies to make this.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually talked to my grandpa and spent some time with him making forms for these trays. So together we just had some scrap wood lying around. We made the molds for these trays. And the glazing has certainly evolved. This is I used to just do one glaze usually, and now this is actually two chinos. There's a double dip in the middle where it gets a little thicker, and then I did so it's Malcolm Davis chino as the base glaze, and then I did an orange glaze over the top where I would just use almost one of those an eyedropper kind of thing, and I make a little pool and I'd shake the pot so that I would get these drips coming down in the tray. And it's something I'd never done before this piece, and it's something that I absolutely need to keep pursuing.
Yeah.
And then the last piece, of course, is the handle. Once again, um, made out of that round reed with that flat reed around it to kind of secure the handle. It's actually a very sturdy pot. In fact, I have it with me right here too,
Oh,
and
oh,
it's quite solid and it's a good size. Um,
yeah.
but I like this because it is beautiful and functional, and now it's multimedia.
Mm-hmm. With the two different, um, the stone and the reed. That's nice. Very nice. All right, our next piece is, oh, mm-hmm,
It's
the piece you,
another jar, yeah. And this one was my favorite one. Um, so of the three that I made, this one, the shape of it's just round and kind of squat, and it draws my eye. Some of the glazing has just these little details that make maybe a potter, maybe you need to be a potter to really appreciate it. I don't know. Um, but it's got some carbon trapping on the handles, so these
mm-hmm,
slightly darker spots on the handles, and that draws my eye almost more than anything. But I like how it's a nuka glaze, and this nuka is actually made out of pecan wood ash and clay, and the pecan wood ash came from Coburn's in Sartell, the one
oh,
on Pinecone. Yeah,
jeez.
I know. So
Uh,
thinking about how we can reuse, reduce, recycle, we're reusing wood product that who knows might have gotten thrown in the garbage, right? And
mm-hmm,
now we made a beautiful blue-gray glaze out of it. We've trapped carbon in it, and it sometimes crystallizes more and sometimes is more glossy. So this is the more crystallized matte look, but wherever the temuku, the dark swoosh is on there, it actually kind of reveals the clay underneath and cuts through that matte glaze and reveals a smooth, glossy texture.
cool. I keep hearing a lot of science, Jacob. Just saying.
Uh-oh.
A lot of science. It's good. All these things our kids are going to learn about different types of materials and what happens when they heat up, the carbon and all that. I mean, that's
Yeah. Well, if you have a bonfire and you get it up to 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit, you don't have to take out the ashes because they'll just melt.
Hmm. That's so cool. Here's another piece.
Okay, this has been my new favorite coffee mug, and
Wow.
it is it. I think that it kind of resembles some of that Menge philosophy where it should be functional, but it's still pretty. It's the art of the people, right?
Hmm.
And it's a Malcolm Davis Chino, carbon trapping on one half, and then kind of fading into that orange Chino color with a couple of whimsical little finger wipes on there. It is a comfortable little cup. I actually have that with me as well. Um, I like smaller coffee cups just because my coffee will stay hot longer,
That's
right?
true.
I mean, in that I pour my coffee in, I drink it, and then it doesn't have time to cool off, and I just pour myself another cup. So at work, I'll bring a thermos and I'll keep pouring small cups instead of doing one giant cup. And by the time I get to the bottom half, it's all cold and I don't really want to drink it anymore.
Right, right. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
neat shape. I like that. And our last
Thanks.
piece that we have.
Awesome. This one is another callback to that first pottery class I took where I dabbled in sculpture.
Ah,
And
yes.
it's got that little turtle on the lip of that short, kind of squat, round vase. And there's a lot going on with this piece.
Hmm.
It was hard to settle on one photo, actually, because I think so much is going well. The bottom is perfectly rounded, and then I've started going thicker with my lips because it's a vase. I don't really want it to accidentally have a chipped lip because the lip gut was so thin that it was easy to chip when you were cleaning it out. Um, so I go a little thicker on the lip, and then I was doing thumb indents. If you look just left of the turtle on the lip,
Yeah.
there's
Hmm.
there's three thumb indents around it, and that actually catches glaze and makes it slightly darker. It pools a little better. And
Mm.
then the turtle makes it helps it tell a story, right? So there's a turtle with footprints kind of wandering along the vase, and so now you have your life science brought into it because you're wondering, where's the turtle going? Is the turtle laying eggs? Is the turtle endangered? Right? So it brings forth a lot of questions that just a vase wouldn't bring forward. It's where's it going and why is it going there?
Hmm. So you mentioned your photo. I didn't know which one to pick. One thing I do need to point out is these are really great photos of your work, Jacob. That I appreciate too, as someone that, runs a festival too, when an artist that loves a piece takes the time to get a really great photo of it.
Um, Thank you for complimenting that. I'm looking actually over towards my photo setup right now, and
Oh,
it's madness. There are pots everywhere. There's a backdrop. I have a light hanging from a post. It's nuts.
hmm.
Um, but it's what you go through to try and get it just right. And something I've struggled with is not being a photographer, struggling with um, glare and how do I fight glare with glossy pottery. And there's a lot of ideas with a sheet or something right in front of it,
Hmm.
and then also just shadow. And do I want shadow? Where do I want shadow? And I'm starting to like having a little shadow under the pot because it lifts it up a little bit. But
So
thank you, I appreciate it. I
my
do my
spouse
best.
is a photographer sitting next to me, and he's nodding his head at what you're saying. So you're on the right track, Jacob. You're on the right track. So, but
Oh,
and I think it speaks to, taking your work seriously, and really committing, to to your great pieces that you're creating, but then to going to that next step and saying, okay, I want to share this, but I need to take just as much time with it, and what I'm putting out there.
you do. One of my friends reminded me my friend Robin reminded me that if you're going to be a good potter and you're going to take this seriously, you're really only going to spend a quarter of your time on the wheel, because you're selling the pottery, or you're trying to get your pottery out there and share it with people. You're spending time on your glazing and your firing process. I mean, it's not just making the pot on the wheel, which so many of us want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think as I've matured as a potter, and hopefully I keep maturing as a potter because I'm not done yet. But as I grow and learn more, I'm falling for each part of the process just a little bit. You start out falling in love with throwing, and then I think you learn to love glazing and trimming over time. And then the sales end, I think, comes too.
Mm-hmm. Right. All those pieces. All those pieces. So do you have a dream project on the horizon?
I do have a dream project, actually. So I have a couple of big vision ideas, and one, a lifelong vision is the time capsules, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
something I want to do every year. But my next thing I want to get my hands on, well, okay, after I get a house, build a home studio. That's first, right? Um, so I have my own wheel. I don't have my own kiln. Those things need to probably happen first. But then I want to make chess sets. So
Ah,
I'm hoping to do ceramic chess pieces, and then woodwork the board, and see, just that's my idea. I have a vision, and I'm excited to try and execute it, because I think that is another. It's a game where it brings a couple people close together. When you're playing chess, you're not focused on other things because you have to pay attention, and you're paying attention to the other person as well as what you're doing. Um, it's kind of like sharing coffee with somebody in a coffee shop. You're having an intimate moment just with them. And
mhm,
so a chess set sticks with my philosophy of bringing people together for community.
mhm. So the I think that is wonderful and such a great plan. I think that'll be really exciting to see that. That takes a lot of work though too. A lot of work.
It's going to be a lot of, and it would be a hand built chess set. So I'd
Oh,
be hand building them. Um, the vision is, do you know, they use them on the North Shore, and they use them out in the deserts out west, but they're cairns, so stacks of rocks.
oh, sure, I've seen those. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So my
Mm-hmm.
my chess pieces, I think, would resemble cairns, and a pawn
Oh,
might be
sure.
just two rocks on top of each other, whereas the
Oh,
king might be something more elaborate.
oh, cool. Oh, that
So that
sounds great. So one thing we need to talk about that I was so really engaged in how you were sharing about your work that I forgot to talk about how do people get your work, Jacob? How do people get it? How can they
how do
connect with
people
you?
get it? So I actually have, after the school year gets off and running, right?
Hmm.
So we've had the wedding, that was really good. Now I'm getting my classroom and school year set up, and then the next thing is my Etsy. So I'm working on getting that ready. I have probably 35 to 40 pots that I'm hoping to get uploaded and put on there for our Millstream show. Um,
Okay,
it won't be
good.
the same, as being there in person with 100 pots all around,
Right.
but now the selection will be the best of the best. Um, there will be detailed shots of everything, so you'll know what you're getting. And I'm excited to still be able to share work with people.
Hmm. So as you're getting this Etsy shop going, people can watch for it, and when you do post it on your Instagram,
Yep,
your Facebook page, things like
exactly.
that. So just watch that for when the Etsy is up and going, and we'll make sure, that people know how to find that page. We'll make sure we do that. So,
Absolutely, yeah. So on the Facebook and the Instagram, there will eventually be a link to my Etsy once that's up and running. And even if you just message me directly on there, that is
okay.
another great way. People have ordered pots from me that way before. It works really well. Um, it's almost more personal because you're just having a conversation. Hey, what do you like? What do you want? If people ask to see pictures, I usually run downstairs, set it up, and I go take some pictures really quick. So I try and work with people as best as I can online. And then after the shop is set up, who knows, maybe then I'll actually get a website through Squarespace or something like that too. We're doing it baby steps at a time, you know.
That's good, and you need to be thoughtful about it when you're diving into something, and you want your product to and your work to sell itself too, but then comes the other things with it. And you're doing great, Jacob. I'm so glad that you were a part of Millstream last year, and we got to know you and got to highlight you as an artist, at Millstream, and good luck with your school year. So
Thank
we
you.
yeah, and keep us posted. So I hope you come back for Millstream, even though you're maybe in a
That
different
is
area.
my hope.
Good.
Yeah, it is. It is my hope that. Well, I still have a lot of friends in the area too, and so my goal is to be able to come back from Millstream every year, and
Good.
then after at the end of the day, once we kind of shut down, maybe take my friends out to get a little bad habit, and then
Yeah,
sliced.
there
That's
you
my
go.
favorite.
Us too. Well, thank you, Jacob. You have a great day. It was wonderful visiting with you. Take care and congratulations.
Will do. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.